Hi. I'm Claire. Sorry to interrupt.
Claire is the worst written character I've ever seen
God,
in any
I
prestige
so agree.
film.
Like, we're still doing this manic pixie dream bullshit.
Pixie
Like,
Dream
really?
Girl, and she's a doctor. Manic
What?
Pixie Dream Girl. That doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even make sense.
This motherfucker is dating a whole ass doctor who can find time to be with his scraggly ass, but he's like, oh, I can't run a kitchen and love you too.
I'm glad somebody said it other than me.
How much time does she have?
Because no doctor lady is doing all that shit to get this depressed little ugly hot white boy. Like, that's not happening in real life.
It's a red flag.
Yeah, his performance is probably the best. Well, actually, Steve Carell does pretty good too. It's like the movie itself is kind of blah. It's kind of like whatever.
Yeah, because I never heard anything good because like the scenes from it, I'm like, oh, this seems like that, you know, like Cannes, like Toronto International Film Festival, like tearjerker, Oscar bait kind of a movie. But I just never heard anything about it.
Is it Cannes?
As opposed to what?
Cannes. I'm
pretty sure it's Cannes.
There's a Entourage episode about that whole thing.
I'm 70% sure it's Cannes.
Cannes versus Con?
Yeah.
I tell you, I being around you gentlemen, I just learned something new every Saturday night. It's what is that? Is it Cannes? Is it Con? No, I think it's Con.
It's like the international
Shaka Khan?
Film
Is it Shaka Khan? Everybody knows Shaka Khan.
It's the International Film Festival.
Really?
Yeah. It's like Cannes, it's like Venice, it's like Toronto, it's like Tribeca. Those are like the big, like, if you're like trying to move something internationally, like you do those.
Oh, it's telling me, Google's telling me that it's actually pronounced Ken.
Ken?
Like Ken, yeah.
Take that, you Con.
The Ken Film Festival. I don't know.
It's actually pronounced Kenene.
Y'all don't know shit either.
I was asking. I was trying to get clarity. I didn't know.
I thought it was Cannes. I was certain that it was Cannes.
I had that same bullshit when I made a video on Vincent van Gogh, and apparently the actual pronunciation is something like Gogh, like there's like a guttural sound or something. Like, but people are like, no, we're not saying that, so just say
or like
go.
Or like W.B. Du Bois. Like I love it when people try to get fancy and they say Dubois.
Dubois.
Yeah. I always used to say that shit. Twitter taught me that it's Du Bois. Like,
he pronounced his name Du Bois. Yeah, like he
which
said,
is very
no,
black
it's
somehow.
Du Bois.
Yeah,
Du Bois.
It's Du Bois.
Why didn't they should start a podcast, The Boy and the Boys?
Well, look, welcome everybody to Waving the Red Flog. This is it's Eddie, it's Josh, it's Alvin. This is the #1 dating and cinematic mispronunciation podcast in the universe. We're joined today by your boy May Cabri storytelling to talk about the Bear.
Another word.
Beep, 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 beep.
No one knows how to pronounce.
The Bear season 2. Me cabron. Oh shit. Yeah, let's get straight into it because I watched this shit and I don't know if I would have watched it on my own. I feel like it's like slightly overrated. Like people talk about this shit like it's just cinema, like it goes beyond cinema. Like it's more than just a TV show. It's a way of life, and I'm like, I mean, it's a nigga in the kitchen. Like, you know, it's cool.
I watched Mac's video on the episode with Richie in
Me
season
too.
2. So,
Same.
So I'm
Good
really,
video, by the way.
Thank you.
I'm really anxious to hear
good.
Mac's thoughts about the totality of what we've seen so far because I have what I think are going to be pretty hot takes.
I think we all might have some hot takes. I don't think anyone.
Yeah.
I think the show
is like, yo, this is the best piece of shit to ever grace. But it was good. It was good, but it was well written, yes. Well acted, yes. Well shot, yes. But it was just, I don't know. Like it was just like, it's cool. Like I didn't hate watching it at all. Like I was like, okay, well, damn, I'm done with 2 seasons in 3 days. Okay. So
it felt like didn't shit happen to me. Like it felt like a lot was like being done to like tell us a story about nothing happening. Oh boy, kind of opened up a store, and that was like, what's the plot here? Like
for me, particularly the side characters, it's all over the map. Like some are excellent. Richie's fantastic.
Richie's well done.
Yeah,
I don't like him, but he's well done.
But then there are other side characters who kind of like get lost in the shuffle. Like
Ibrantino.
Yeah, they didn't give him enough.
Or even
Like,
Sydney,
like
I thought that like they kind of gave her
kind of
a
trash
little,
too.
even Carmi, to be completely honest, in season 2, they kind of explored him. I almost think like he kind of
is Richie the main character of the bear, kind of low key.
Yeah, right.
Richie and Nat, man.
Yeah,
there's something there. There's something.
Oh
there.
yeah, even Nat, she was really good too. They even in the Fishes episode, they tried to really give her, and I really like that, her dynamic with Carmi, and then her dynamic with her mother.
You okay?
Oh my god. Oh, Natalie.
Which kind of makes you feel even worse for her because, we're so focused on Carmi's trauma from Mikey and his mother, but then we kind of forget, it's like, you have your sister here who's also gone through this shit, but she's handling it like much better than you are, and you're kind of being a dick by
That's
not
that She-Hulk
sort of,
shit. I am infinitely more qualified in dealing with
kind
anger.
of.
So all of this just feels like projecting.
In a way.
Yeah, people gonna be mad at that, but I don't know, man. I just felt like I love the beauty of like cooking and like the cooking culture and the kitchen culture and all the different shit that they're doing and like the test kitchen work they're doing to create and like the way they make all of it feel like magic. Like all of that is amazing, but it just doesn't seem like enough to make a show. Like you still need a plot. Like that's aesthetic. Like something that I really loved about Hannibal was that it had all of those elements of like food as art, obviously on some fucked up shit, but like it had food as art as its like aesthetic, but but the story was some whole other shit. Like just a whole story about like, oh, could you try this soup? It's too salty. It's like, I can't watch that for an hour.
I honestly think the bear is there's a sort of a strange area that shows fall in, right? This is actually what's kind of funny about the show. I don't even think Carmi likes being a chef. I think that's the point. That's the thing. It's like even in season 1, he kind of admits that like the only reason I like went and did all this shit and all these restaurants was because I was rejected by Mikey, and so him.
But
it's almost ironic.
He does have a point where he says, "I love it, but I'm not happy." He says
exactly
that him and Richie moment where Richie talks about him reading that book and talking about him getting left behind effectively. Like all of these, his friends are doing big shit. He's going to get left behind. He asked Carmi directly. Carmi says, I do love it, but I'm not happy. So I do think he loves it. I do think he loves being
I don't think he likes it though.
I don't think he likes it. And I do think that's a very clear distinction that I would like to make.
That's a good point.
I don't think any of them like it necessarily.
I think Sydney.
I think Sydney does.
I don't think Sydney.
I don't know.
And I think Marcus does. I think Sydney and Marcus do.
Marcus likes
Marcus does.
Marcus likes it.
He loves bacon.
Yeah.
He loves and likes bacon.
That motherfucker likes making a good donut.
But when Sydney came to the bear or the beef or whatever it was, like you could tell, like you could see her shift from like this bright-eyed, like, oh my God, I get to study under this phenomenal chef, and then acquiesce to this environment that she's in to where she's not really liking it so much. Or even just with her past experiences where there was a lot of things that she didn't like, and the reason why her past business, I think she was doing catering or something like that.
Yes,
it grew too big, too fast, something like that.
She burnt out on that one too.
Yeah, so I was like, I can't really say like she really do they love it? They have a passion for it? Absolutely. Do they really like it though? Is that making them happy?
Does anybody really love what they like what they love though? Because I think that's kind of the interesting. I admire that, and Alvin, this is something you said before. I admire being like, look, I don't like this shit. I don't enjoy this shit. It doesn't spark joy or engagement or anything in me, but I can't not do it. I have to do this shit. And I feel like there's such a beauty in that purpose because most people don't have anything like that. They go, oh, this is what I do to survive, da da da. But if you go, look, I hate this shit and I'm never gonna stop doing it. It's kind of beautiful. Like when he's stuck in the refrigerator, which is the dumbest subplot.
Yeah,
he's stuck in the refrigerator and it's so
open night,
man.
so Mr. Bean.
It's the smoking gun, man. The smoking gun. The fucking
right, like that. Because I'm like, are y'all not watching the show?
Fucking two seasons.
They had that shit on the goddamn mantle, Chekhov's fucking fridge handle, like just showing us, yeah, this shit gonna be a problem. In what way is it going to be a problem? Somebody gets locked in. I don't even think fridges are designed that way. So like modern fridges, safety. You can't they have a little glow in the dark like pump thing that you can press to get out. So
that's another thing of like in movies, like things that don't exist in real life. When like, oh, I'm stuck in the freezer. Like no, like that they have.
Yeah, right.
There is like
maybe
a,
in the
a
20s
button that you can press. Yeah,
Right.
when his kids was getting stuck in the fridge or whatever, that's not real.
And that makes doesn't even make any sense. Like, why would you not have another? It's like I'm gonna make a bedroom with only a doorknob on one
on the outside.
Surely handles get broken all the time. and it's just a bunch of frozen chefs, like just piles of Everest chefs that have died because nobody decided to fix the handle procedure.
All right.
Should we add one? Nah, it's fine.
When he's in the fridge and he says, maybe this thing doesn't spark enjoyment or happiness, but the feeling of failing at this feels way worse than any joy that I get outside of doing it. And I thought that was I think that's what motivates people like Sydney and them, which is that like, it's not even about joy. It's not about day to day. Like, can I enjoy this shit? It's about avoiding the pain of being like embarrassed or a failure.
I disagree.
Okay.
I think Carmi is his own case, but I think for Sydney, and I think the Richie episode really highlighted this for me, right? Where he pulls that guy out and he's like, "Why do you do this?" And the guy's like, "Because I get to make somebody's day, and I make their whole world for a short period of time."
That guy, I think he enjoys it. I don't think.
But they actually asked about it. He was like, "No, man, I don't like getting fucking yelled at.
Fuck you, Garrett. Yes, chef. Fuck me.
But I get through that because I get to make somebody's night every single night." So I think that some people have that in the show, right? So I think Sydney has it. And I think you've seen several instances.
Sydney
in the
does
show
have it. You're right.
Sydney
does have it. Where she's like, she enjoys the joy of other people eating her food.
Like even I think it was episode 9,
like
season 2,
shit.
where exactly. Like she made the omelet and they're talking about like, she's like, "Yeah, man, it was fire, man. I put some fucking ruffles on that shit. Like I'm fucking getting creative. Like boom, boom, bam." Like, so I think Sydney has that. I don't know if Carmi has it.
That's a great point, because in the finale of season 2, you have Sydney in the kitchen, and you can tell she's stressed. You can tell that she is like freaking out. She has that moment of like a little panic attack when she hears the ticket machine whirring, but then she goes outside and she pukes. But then her father comes up and says, like, "I'm proud of you," and then the season ends with her smiling. So the idea is this like for Sydney, where it's like, I'm able to put up with all the bad shit because the outcome. It's kind of like, I don't know, like working out. Like, I hate going to the gym and like sweating and like hurting myself, yada yada. But it's so rewarding to see the results and to strive. But like to your point, where with Carmi, even though he might love it, or to some extent he needs love it or enjoy it,
motherfucker can't fall in love. Like,
yeah,
come on,
it's also mixed in. It's also mixed in with like, because again, it's very highly implied that a lot of this is mixed in with like his family trauma. Definitely, and it's like you really need to address something, that man. First. Yeah. Yo, the fact that this motherfucker is dating a whole ass doctor who can find time to be with his scraggly ass, but he's like, "Oh, I can't run a kitchen and love you too."
I'm glad somebody said it other than me.
How much time does she have?
No, she's probably on call like 36 hours at a time.
Right.
And she's making this
calling
shit
him up and was telling him cute nothings and shit. Like, she's honestly, I actually just think she's unrealistically written. Like, I don't think that he's badly written. I think it's that she's badly written, because no doctor lady is doing all that shit to get this depressed little ugly hot white boy. Like, that's not happening in real life.
Unless she's in residency and she's making like 50K or whatever, and she's working like 180 hours a week or whatever.
Bullshit. Because she was chasing that man. Like,
so that's the core of what I want to get into, and I think there's a lot to dive into with the bear. My primary things were I think Claire is the worst written character I've ever seen in a prestige film.
Like, we're still doing this manic pixie dream bullshit.
Pixie dream girl,
really?
and she's a doctor. Manic pixie dream girl. It doesn't even make sense.
They come in all shapes, sizes, careers. Come on, manic pixie dream girls can be anything. Okay.
I guess so.
I am 100% showing this episode to my girlfriend, because the entire season, every time Claire came on screen, you could just hear her go, ugh. Like she just recoiled. And I feel bad because like I've seen the actress and other stuff. I think she's great. But yeah, never have I seen a character.
Yeah, it's not her fault.
She read the lines they gave her, but
never have I seen a character who was so blatantly a plot device.
Oh,
like it's like she isn't even a character. She's like a plot device in like human form.
She's not upset about anything. She doesn't have any
well-acted plot device.
Nothing going on behind those eyes.
Like, I know Jeremy Allen White's like good looking, but like you cannot tell me that anyone would put up with his like negative.
Someone
rids.
would. No,
Somebody would.
Someone definitely
there's a
would.
lot of
Someone
there's a lot of
definitely
well
would.
documented examples, like the random man
Yeah.
from Atlanta. If anybody's tracking that story,
Yes, indeed. Jeremy Allen. I've met many Jeremy Allen Whites. They're fucking four or five different women who make way more money than them in real life. Like that's in real life, like a scraggly line cook with a bunch of stick and poke tattoos who's like addicted to drugs and very good at cooking has many white women after.
and also you got
women in general.
But you also got to think about it. So I agree with you, Eddie. But you also got to put into perspective that like he's not just a scraggly line cook, right? Like he's a scraggly
CDC.
Michelin star.
Yeah.
Oh, true.
CD. You know what I'm saying? Like he's like the shit in that field. So he doesn't have a lot
Right.
he probably doesn't have a lot of money because he's like dealing with a lot of shit, but he's like exponentially above like the average. So I will give him that.
Like the bum version of him is doing well. He's
the
a
bum version of
successful
him.
bum. So
Yeah.
like I guarantee like that could happen in real life, but I just don't. And look, his used to be fat like sweetheart girlfriend from like the same small town. Maybe.
They're from Chicago. They're from a
Or
Chicago neighborhood.
same yeah, but they're same neighborhood, I should say then. Same
Yeah, neighborhood,
Like
yeah.
they're part of the community, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What's so funny about that is that I kind of felt that way for Carmi, where like the entire crux of the season is like, oh, I can't be with Claire because I'm so busy with the restaurant, and I'm like, bitch, I don't think you did a single thing throughout this entire. Like Sydney was doing like most of the work. I kind of saw you do like two things over the course of like an 8 month.
He was doing stuff.
He's trying
a
to
little bit.
So this is what he's doing. He's trying to not him, but his character, the writers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They're trying to make this the equivalent of like a Whiplash thing, right? And I give Whiplash
Yes, yeah, of course.
as a story.
Can we
some
use
leeway.
Black Swan or something like just because we use Whiplash
yeah.
this all the time? Yeah.
Black Swan is a great example as well. I give both of those a lot of leash because these are young people just stepping out doing stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like young people have a different perspective. Like they're potentially trying to be like at the zenith of their particular field, right?
Yeah.
This is a chef that has a lot of success, a lot of talent, that is trying to open a restaurant and spending like $500K. So what this motherfucker needs is a planner. Right? Like he's doing all this shit about like, I need to be the best because I got locked in the refrigerator and all this kind of motherfucker. You need a Google Google
calendar. Is that what you said?
You need a planner, and you could do everything that you're doing at the
Yeah.
level that you want to do it without becoming like a monster, because that last episode insinuates that. And I take this personally, and I did some numbers on this one, right? I work a lot of hours.
This nigga did numbers. What the fuck?
I was like, how did you do? Okay,
What numbers?
Go ahead.
I did some numbers.
Okay, yeah.
The amount of money, the amount of money, the amount of money that is on the line for them is the amount of money that I have to play with for half a day.
Me, brick by brick.
The whole
in your work, you mean?
Yeah, the whole existence of their restaurant is half a day of what I'm responsible for. I promise this motherfucker can figure out a way to go on a date and have a happy life outside of this if he understands how to fucking work a Google Calendar.
I don't know how he got to that point of success.
I don't know.
Let me tell you this
the
though.
fuck out of me.
I'll say this because like it was deeper than just his organizational skills. Like I think it was just really him grappling with the mental health aspect of it, because that's what I was really getting from his character.
Fair.
Is he was dealing with a lot of just mental health shit, and it doesn't matter how organized you are when your mind isn't like functioning properly. Like when you like hung up on some shit, like you just got this draining energy that's. When your energy is just being drained by like just like a bunch of like other stuff, like yes, I could go on a date, but I don't have the capacity to deal with this. Even though like yes, I deserve this. Even though like yes, I could want this, but it's like, do I really want to invite this person into this realm that I'm dealing with? Do I really want to invite this person into the shit that I'm hanging on to? Da, da, da.
So
this shit is not as easy as we're making it sound.
So no, I fuck with you, Josh, and I think that like if the angle taken in the show was his brother and his relationship with his mother, right? But that last season, I think, kind of nails it down. He's like, if I have to be great at this, I have to cut off all distractions. That's what he said. So like, I think you're on to something. I think what you're talking about, Josh, is actually the real reason, but it's not what he said. So I'm going to take him at face value. At face value, he said like, if I want to be great at running this restaurant, and I'm 500 to 800K in debt. You know, I gotta fucking like not talk to anybody and just be in here making cannolis and donuts and shit.
Making cannolis that's gonna save the restaurant.
I'm like, motherfucker, get a fucking planner, bro. Get a fucking planner. Like, cause again, none of this would have happened if he had put a notification in his phone that said call fucking Terry.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
But it's just unrealistic.
He's bad at what he's doing.
Yeah.
No,
Like the fact that he made it this far makes no sense. Like in real life, there's no way, because really the only fuck up that he really made was the fridge shit. And it just seems unrealistic that a head chef of a Michelin star restaurant under any circumstances could let something like that.
He retained it.
Okay, retain it. It's true. So maybe that's a lot easier. But still, even to retain the shit, it just does not seem realistic that you could be that bad at. Because look, I don't think it's as easy as you're making it sound, Alvin. I think balancing like personal relationships with the level of stress of like someone trying to run a new restaurant and like do the rest of life is actually really fucking, like most people don't operate like that.
I think it's very hard. I think that it's easier than what he's making it. That's my point, right? I think it's somewhere between hard and like I have to cut off all personal interaction.
I agree.
And
which is
talk to that's my point, right? I'm not saying it's easy, because again, I use my work as an example. My work is hard. My work is stressful.
Most people couldn't do what your work is.
I'm tired right now.
Yes,
but the shit that this motherfucker's talking about is just like
my nigga AB said it couldn't be me. It couldn't be
this
me.
job is fucking hard. Let's not bullshit and act like running a new restaurant to that level. It's
very hard. But again, what I'm saying is like that's why I'm trying to set the guardrails appropriately, right? And then I'm gonna shut up because I'm talking a lot. But it's somewhere between very hard and what he's talking about. It's somewhere in the middle of that.
No, because he's jumping logically for sure.
Yeah, but what he's saying does not make sense. But it is very hard. I don't want to take that away from him.
Yeah,
starting a new business, especially a restaurant,
like
especially a restaurant. Restaurants are hard.
Like, hey, look, I don't answer my phone for personal calls during my workday. Like that's a simple. That's a simple thing. Anybody who's doing any kind of like difficult, like you're running a company, you have the bat phone. If it's an emergency and my girl needs me, I have a different phone that rings. Throughout my workday, I don't get distracted with personal shit because we want to go out for ice cream and I haven't ordered the fucking meat yet. Like, come on, this is like simple personal self-management shit. But if you've never had to do that before, if you've never had to do this shit before, you can fuck up like that. But the idea that you like can't do both, I think is just, honestly, it's maybe kind of realistic. He's never had a relationship before. And I've met a lot of people who have not had to manage like life and life together. You, Alvin, you've been on two cylinders for most of your life of having like close interpersonal relationships and high octane, like educational and professional careers simultaneously. A lot of people, they get to 35 and they're like, oh, fuck, I have a girlfriend, or oh, fuck, I have a job. I don't know how to balance this shit. So it's not surprising.
Especially if, like you said, like they're younger. But no, he's like that person who's like, you text someone a simple question and they text you back like 3 days later, like, sorry, I was busy. And it's like, it doesn't take
Come
like
on,
8
man.
seconds.
Low executive function like a motherfucker, bro. Come on, get it together.
But I don't think it ever establishes as him having a relationship before. Seemed like his entire life has just been cooking.
No, yeah, because like even in the past, like his main relationship was with the same girl.
Claire.
Like it was just like a girl of interest. That was the only one.
And then I almost wonder if what the show's communicating is that Carmi is almost using that as an excuse not to let himself get close to Claire.
Yeah,
where it's
I
like,
think you're right.
Yeah. Because it's like you can't like step out for like 30 minutes to get ice cream with her.
Do you think he fucked up the fridge shit on purpose? Like on some subconscious shit? You know what I mean? Like if you can go, hey, look,
self-sabotage behavior,
self-sabotage type shit, yeah. Because it's like that call was happening so many times, and he kept, because he stares at the phone. The fucking phone dude, the fridge dude is calling him. He sees Claire, and you see in that moment he's thinking this bitch again. Like that's what he's doing in that moment. And I think he let the shit lapse in order to like engage with her, and then inevitably it fucked up in a way that maybe he didn't predict it was gonna fuck up exactly in that way, to where he ends up locked in the fucking fridge. But I think he was wanting to fail to do something in order to pursue this relationship, so he could convince himself that any failing of the restaurant was really low-key Claire's fault, or like the fault of his relationship with Claire. I think he did that shit on purpose.
That makes sense. It's like subconsciously he was scared of entering a relationship, but he didn't know how to cut it off. So as soon as he found something that had nothing to do with her. Literally nothing to do with her. Oh, I'm going to use this as an excuse to justify breaking up with her. Because, this is somehow her fault that I couldn't make a 5-second phone call to someone.
Exactly.
To have him come. Yeah.
You know who really fumbled, though? Tina. Tina's a fucking piece of shit. Because Tina... That's not my Jeff. That's not my Jeff.
Tina catching strays. What did she do?
That's not my Jeff. Hello, Jeff.
Y'all didn't cop what happened. All right. This nigga was locked in the fridge, and she goes, I'm here for you. So then he begins a crazy ass monologue.
Oh, okay.
Dog shit on his girlfriend. Tina
just
leaves, lets the girlfriend come in.
You right.
Mid-conversation, doesn't say shit.
It's shit. Yeah,
left.
Okay,
I did think that was weird as hell. I thought that was weird as fuck. Like, yo, Jeff. Hey, Jeff. Hey, she's here.
I want to slow it down.
Right.
Hey, Claire.
But no, she just fucking left.
She just left. She didn't even tell him, hey, by the way, let's continue this monologue later. This motherfucker still thought he was talking to Tina. And then Claire goes, I'm sorry you felt that way. Bitch, where's Tina? Like, what the fuck?
Why did she step away?
Mac, you're right.
I forget.
There was no reason for Tina to step away. They had already got out their main. Yeah, they had already got out their main dishes to the tables. Like everything was on a fine trajectory. Yeah. There was no reason for Tina to step away.
None.
Something there.
That's
no, he definitely. I forgot about that.
Mood. He's like complaining, and then like 10 seconds in, she's like, "All right, fuck this," and she's
right, exactly. She's talking about
Claire,
you take over. You take over.
You want to hear this?
Yeah, right.
He tapped Claire into the worst conversation of the night. Like, why would you do that?
But you know what's funny is that the way they've written Claire. She just be like, oh man, it's all cool, like you were in a stressful state. Oh man, it's all cool, like you were in a stressful state.
Yeah,
so,
no, Claire's
like,
definitely gonna forgive him.
Yeah,
Claire ain't worried about that.
Oh my God,
she gonna cry for 2 seconds. He gonna half apologize. He gonna be like, "You hungry?" Make her a plate. She don't have no thoughts or feelings about nothing, man. Like this is such a
that's what it's gonna be.
non-character.
It's gonna be a phenomenal cooking montage.
Exactly, and it's all gonna be forgiven. They're not gonna talk about shit.
It's like that SpongeBob line, like all she has in her head is being a doctor and being a girlfriend.
His name? What's his name? I got nothing on a name. Come on, baby, what's the name? We threw out his name!
That's it. And breathing. Don't forget to breathe, Claire.
We burned everything else.
Dining and breathing. Yeah.
Here's my prediction. Season 3 is going to be the last season of this show, and the entire season is just going to be Carmi trying to get an Adderall prescription from his insurance, and then at the end he's going to get it, and then the story will be, hey guys, everything's good now.
I think that was the plot of Limitless, basically. Yeah.
True.
So I'm gonna be honest, man. Like I'm kind of upset that we haven't had a phenomenal John Bernthal speech, right? Because that's like what I expect from him when he's in like a limited role. Like I'm thinking
when he's half yelling.
Yeah, when he's half yelling and like he like just gives me some shit that like makes me fucking like there's a speech for people who haven't seen it, and I'm not suggesting you see it because it traumatized me personally. Oh. But Wind River, he had a phenomenal speech.
Is that the one with Hawkeye?
Yes. Yes. He has a phenomenal speech in Wind River.
Yeah.
And he has a phenomenal speech for what I do think people should watch in Daredevil about just being tired. That I think just like made it set the tone of that show, like for that season. So I'm very anxious to see if he has like a point where like he just like comes back in a flashback perspective and just like gives me some of that shit. I need that in season 3.
I will say that fork scene was good. That fork shit was good because I feel like
the fork shit was fucking phenomenal.
Worst I've ever seen her.
You fucking piece of shit!
I've been at those dinner tables, and that fork shit was real.
I was just about to say, can we talk about this episode?
Yes.
No, not
that was a great
episode.
God, the Christmas episode when they were
called forks, but it was called fishes. Yeah, the fishes episode.
Yes. Yeah, 7 fishes.
That was a good. That seemed like an expensive ass episode. Like I don't like. They must have a lot of money.
It was also like an hour and a half or some shit. Like it was like a mini movie. It was
They could only afford all those guest spots for one episode piece.
But
so they just crammed them all into one.
Jamie Lee Curtis, Bob Odenkirk,
Sarah Paulson,
John Mulaney, like this fucking all-star.
Like y'all can't make another episode of this show because every time you need the mom, you have to get Jamie Lee fucking Curtis to come back to this TV show.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
They gonna have her like having shots of the back of her head for half of her
Right.
scenes now forward.
The GOAT,
Dude, I
Jamie
know.
Lee Curtis.
That episode fucked me up because even being from Boston, Jamie Lee Curtis's character, I've known like 5 of my friends' moms are like exactly.
Is that?
I can go upstairs and get Dad's gun out of my drawer, and I think I'm just gonna blow my fucking brains out, and then you guys can make dinner, because I don't think anyone would fucking miss me.
Just
So that was it was
like
scary.
abusive, no emotional regulation, like train
Or
wreck.
like, hey, like I don't need any help, and then 5 minutes later, why isn't anyone
Just
helping?
yelling
And I'm
at
like,
her.
oh my god.
Yeah, old truck.
I don't know if I
Yeah.
feel for her or what, because I think I mostly just view her as like an abusive person, but I'm kind of like, I kind of get being in that stuck place of like, she said, I don't know how to love my kids. And, you know, she's kind of in that place of when you're a mother, you're kind of,
Her
and maybe I'm
husband died, you know.
yeah. And maybe I'm bending over backwards on some pick me shit because it's like, you're socialized as a woman. So you're like, you don't want to ask for help, but you also have this intense feeling of needing help. So it's like you're constantly mad, but also feel like you have to tell people not to help you because otherwise you're an incompetent mother. And it's like, but at the same time, like, grow up. You like 60, baby. Like, you're traumatizing your children.
And
Like,
then your
grow up.
kids are chefs. Like one of your children is a world-renowned chef.
Let
Your
that
other
nigga-
one has a fucking
Yeah,
restaurant,
they're pretty good.
and you won't let them help you
He
cook.
made
they're pretty good.
Sprite with nothing. Come on.
Are you good? Come on, like stop.
Well, I
It's
think that
annoying.
was.
And then
I
you
think
drive
that
a
was-
fucking car through. Yeah,
Yeah, that was.
you
intense.
are an abusive, traumatizing piece of shit parent, regardless of the fact that you had a tough situation.
I felt so bad for Pete.
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, yeah,
boyfriend.
yeah,
Yes.
It's cut to the family.
Because he kept,
Oh,
he was
man.
like such like a punching bag throughout the show, and then he gets.
It's 7 fishes.
I know it.
Pete,
They didn't
this
communicate.
would make 8 fishes. That would make us assholes,
I
right?
told him that.
Swing and a
Why are you
miss.
doing this to me?
Okay,
Don't let her fucking see it. Don't let her fucking see it.
I didn't know because. What's up, bro? Hey, Rich.
The great scene at the end. But with Jamie Lee Curtis, it was hard because in that scene, you could tell, like, it seemed like they were implying that she had kind of like cleaned up her act a bit, like she had kind of like, she wasn't as unstable. And in that scene, she was like, it was heartbreaking where she was like, she recognized that how she was in the past was abusive and was awful to her children. And she couldn't forgive herself for it. And that's why she couldn't go in at the end. She was like, I don't want to, which is ironic because that's what the one thing that the kids need in their life, both of them. They need that catharsis with her, but she's just so broken and so she has so much
She
self-guilt
made the
that
right
she
move.
can't.
She 100%
Right,
made
yeah.
the right move.
Yeah, she was gonna
because
fuck
Natalie
that up.
thinks she wants her mom there, but she don't want her mom there. Like
Yeah.
she thinks that'll be a good day, but it won't.
Yeah, the
Like-
mom was not ready for that.
But to back up what Max said, like that was a really good scene for Pete. Like when he was like breaking down at the table, trying to like hold it all together because like he knew something that they didn't know, and he was just really trying to hold that shit together for them. But he couldn't just help but like break down and cry for her,
Yeah.
for one his wife, and then just the symbolism of what that would have meant for his wife and the rest of the family. So like that was a really good scene for him.
I feel sorry for Pete because he just feels like the least toxic like he seems like the least toxic person in like a horrible family, and as a result, everybody
John
just
Mulaney's
hates
character,
him.
man. John Mulaney's
John Mulaney's
character.
true,
At
true,
least
true.
He also like saved the day, like in
John
several
Mulaney's character was
circumstances.
very likable.
Was
He
that the
very-
one?
That
At
was
the,
a great character.
He was the
was he the one that
Love
said the
to see
grace?
more.
Well, he was the one that
Yeah,
said
he said the
grace.
grace. He
was the one
yeah,
that said
okay,
grace.
thank you. Yeah. I
was
really want
like-
to get into that because that shit was funny. Like,
He
Or
knows
even-
how to. He
please
knows how to
tell
use
me he's
toxic
not. He don't got that fork in his hand. still. He does. For
Okay,
the
great.
love
yeah.
of God.
Or
Give him
even
the
Sarah-
strength.
Sarah Paulson's character was also very good. Like
She
I
was
don't
good
think
too.
that we've like
Oh,
I don't think
she
we've
is.
circled
She shows
back
up when she
to.
shows up.
Oh my God, Sarah Paulson is
True.
an amazing actress.
She's good. She's good.
Yeah.
That
But
girl's
even
good.
circling back to like from a plot perspective, like I don't think that enough has been given to her making that edict that you're gonna come stay with me in New York, right? Like and what
yes,
that
that
and
was
what that
top
meant.
tier big sister energy. That was top tier big sister energy.
Big sister energy. I
That
don't
was
think enough
top
has
tier
been
shit.
made about that. So I do
Yeah.
think that her
You're
character
very
is like
right.
from a plot perspective is extremely important, and I would love for her to come back and like that to be explored in season 3 a little bit more.
I feel like they could, if they just made this all family drama, this would be a good
What-
ass show.
you want me to tell you what
if
it
they
should
made
be?
it This Is Us? This
You want
would
me to
be
tell
a
you what it
good
should
ass
be?
show.
It shouldn't be This Is Us. And I'm drawing on my experience
Be
with
Shameless?
other FX
Okay.
shows. No, it should
Okay.
be Rescue
my-
Me. It should be Rescue Me.
Oh, I haven't seen that one. That's the one with not David Spade. What's his name?
Dennis Leary.
Dennis Leary.
It was FX, yeah.
Yeah. It should be Rescue Me. If this was like a 4 to 5 season Rescue Me, I think it would be phenomenal. Because I actually really like Rescue Me.
All the interpersonal shit, like that's what I want to see. I don't want to
Yes.
see you like cooking constantly. Like that's not enough
It's
for
like
a show.
It's like the interpersonal stuff for Rescue Me was the interpersonal stuff was the forefront. The backdrop was the fact that we're firefighters. Yeah, we're firefighters.
That's an aesthetic. That's you can lay that on top. That's not the show. I think. No.
I would rather not. I mean, no, not necessarily but it was just like I don't really want to watch a show that's just like all family trauma and
Really?
drama. Yeah, because like, bro, one thing I wanted to bring up about the show, right, is the level of tension. It does this really well. Like in every episode, you feel like a certain level of tension and anxiety. Even like when even in parts of episodes where it's like completely needless, like that episode when what's his name? Lionel from Our Future. What's his character's name? Marcus. Yeah.
Is he from Our Future?
Yeah, that's Lionel from that's one of Tyler the Creator's best friends. That's
Puppies! I like to get a bite of that notebook.
he was on Lord Squad. But anyway.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
That's not Jasper Dolphin? Okay.
No.
He was prominently featured in the "Bitch I'm Stuck in Jail" skit, which is the best Odd Future skit.
Right. This motherfucker. Okay, you're right.
Yeah, when I was like, oh shit, that's Lionel.
Man, he's a good actor because he don't even seem like an Odd Future type of
really
dude.
Good job.
Yeah.
But anyway, just when he was in Copenhagen and he saved this guy's life that was on the bike, this old man, and it was just like so tense. I'm like, oh my God, is he gonna die now? Like it was overly traumatic, overly tense, and just completely unnecessary.
Yes.
And very random. It had nothing to do with anything.
No, man.
Nothing.
So Josh, thank you for bringing that shit up because I thought that shit was fucking phenomenal, bro.
Was
it was symbolic of a lot of shit, right?
So
think about
get into it.
really think about it, right?
Think, Mark!
So it's this guy who he can't understand at all that he is coming into to save. I think that's 100% like a direct shot at him not fully understanding where Sid and Carmi are coming from, but him coming in to like be the guy that they need him to be. Like I very much resonated with that scene. Like I think that's I thought it was very powerful. Like and I know we talked about like the side characters not necessarily
right, and it's a train wreck, but they keep going even after they've been deeply harmed. Okay, I can see it. Yeah,
I love the Marcus episode.
Damn, the curtains wasn't just blue. Oh shit, his levels.
I also thought Will was very good in that that episode. Like I think I would love to see more of that. And then I know you get when Richie was staging, like I know you see that kind of connection kind of come back, and I thought that was very good from the writers of the show. I would love to explore that a little bit more, honestly, but I think
like
they did
so much more
very
breathing
good.
room is needed for so much of this shit. Like the stage episode, like Forks, I thought it was like similar to the Manic Pixie shit. It's like they just are doing shit where it's like this is 3 or 4 episodes worth of content that you're trying to like blip into a single episode.
For the stage episode, yes. For the stage episode,
Like,
I 1,000,000%
the
agree.
idea that Richie goes from a 45-year-old hyper dysfunctional, problematic, gaslighting motherfucker to like almost entirely functional in
1 week.
5 days of work is like completely unrealistic.
I think it was like he reached his
breaking.
breaking. I think he reached like a breaking point because he's been wanting to change so bad. It's just he didn't have an avenue to do such or to funnel it. I don't know. It was like something that was missing. It was, bro. Like I don't know. It does happen in real life. It can happen in real life.
The path can start there. In real life, no, people don't change like that.
But he was still being himself. Like he just pulled that shit together. But mind you, like it's not something like he just woke up one day and was like, "Oh yeah, I'm great now." Like no, like he's been struggling with this shit for a long time. Like feeling want.
It's the start of season 2. That's the start of season 2. Him struggling with it. But Mac, I would love to like.
Yeah.
For you to summarize what
you
your
got the
thoughts
expert.
are.
Exactly.
On
Just
that
do the whole
episode
essay on it.
specifically. Yeah, on that episode specifically.
Well, I think I agree and disagree. I think a lot of people get the episode wrong. What a lot of people think the episode about is like, to some extent, like you said, Eddie, oh, Richie has now found his purpose and now he is like found his place in life. I actually don't think the episode is saying that, because the point of the episode is, even to Josh, your point, it's the idea that like he was so aching for a place to belong that there's even that moment in the episode where he asks Garrett, it's like, hey man, if you want me to stick around, he got his hopes up way too high. He kind of like lost track of reality, where it's like, hey man, I'm glad that you were able to find a place, but this is going to be a long road. His relationship with his wife is still strained. He still has issues with his daughter and Carmi, and so he still has a lot of problems in his life. And I think the episode was saying, rather than like, hey, he's like fixed now he's a good person, it's that despite the fact that your life is still a fucking mess and you're a fucking mess, you still have to keep just going forward and trying to find a path. However, what I found completely unrealistic, and it's hard because I loved the character beat, but it was so unrealistic, was in the finale when Richie takes over the expo.
As fucking expo, and it's like, bro,
I
you
love
never
that
even
beat.
did it during you.
I know.
You only
He did
shined
it. I know.
forks, you fucking asshole.
He observed it for 2 shifts.
I know.
He observed it for
He
2
was
shifts.
like, I get it now. It's all making sense. Like, he was like Rain Man.
Yeah,
You know
like,
what I'm saying?
come on.
I know.
It's so
like,
unrealistic. Now, okay,
that
I
is
will
hard.
say,
I love
That
the
is
beat,
hard.
but it's so
it's
unrealistic.
very, because you're having to break down each dish and then know the menu precisely in order to say what shit needs to be fired.
Drive.
Motherfucker, he didn't know that shit.
Yeah.
There's no fucking way he could have done that in real life.
Damn it.
Like,
and it's hard because
and all of his people skills and shit that they keep saying he has, it's like, low-key, no, he doesn't. Like, he kind of has people skills, but he's not any better than, say, Nat, for instance.
He's got street smarts.
Yeah.
He does. A little bit.
He's
A little bit. He's got a little bit of, yeah.
He's
He
got
has the
people skills
potential.
in terms of like, there's a fucking dope boy on the corner, like, hey man,
look,
send
if you've
Richie
got a
out
hood
there.
restaurant, he's useful. I don't think that he
Well, I
has
think
any additional skills for this environment.
He funneled that into like, okay, so he funneled that into his he was always charismatic at the end of the day. If you like his version of charisma, that's something else. But he was always charismatic. He was always a people person. He was the main guy telling stories and having everybody gather around him. Yo, so hot, and I was like, yo, I'm walking here, and everyone laughs.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
That's true. That is true.
I think the difference is like and the reason I think Forks as a standalone episode is so good is because I think that episode was saying not necessarily that like Richie is good now, but rather he now knows that he has potential.
True.
It's like, it's not that like, hey, your life is fixed and like everything's going to be fine now. It's you have it in you to make a better life for yourself. And that might take years, but yeah, that ending is it's like, and I love the character beat of him stepping up and helping them, but it was just so unrealistic of like, how can you possibly do that?
5 days is not enough.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so I think you're right that it's not about it's not about him being like cured across every aspect of his life, but I think observing his character throughout the show is that his personality dysfunction seeps into everything that he does, the way that he does relationships, the way that he does like just trying to get a simple task done with him of like, let's move the lockers, is just completely derailed and destroyed by his like lack of self-esteem and his need to like be in control and shit, which they play for laughs in the show. But in real life, if you try to get anything done with that type of person, it's not funny. Like, it's not funny at all. It's actually some like horrific shit to try and get something done.
Get him out of
You
here.
got that personality. Yeah, get the fuck out. Like, you would have got your ass beat like the way he behaves in doing shit.
I think it's easier. I think a lot of Richie's issue stems from his ties to Carmi and the family. Right?
Okay.
I think a lot of issues that Richie has, like a boss that doesn't have those similar ties could easily fix and make him a very productive member of the team. I think a lot of it is they won't have real concrete conversations about his deficiencies, so it makes it harder for him to improve, which is why I think him stodging was great for him. But I 1,000,000% agree with Eddie that I don't think that him stodging for a business week is enough to completely like do that. I think if he was there for a month,
a month, then it could start to make
makes more sense.
Because the first 2 days he was still bullshitting, and then they gave him the seat. So it's really only 3 days of trying.
Yeah, so like if you're like Marcus and you're motivated intrinsically, then I think maybe a week does something for you.
Marcus could maybe do something.
Sending Marcus to Copenhagen for that very limited amount of time, I think was extremely good for him because Marcus was intrinsically motivated. Richie was
he was hungry to.
He already had
I don't
like
think
a
that you can
base
pick up
level
those
of
skills. Like even if you say, hey, look, that staging episode, it's not about him fixing his personality issues. It's just about him drinking the Kool-Aid enough to understand that there's some beauty and purpose in what's happening here, and he's not too good for it. And then only then you can then begin to pick up the skills to be competent. But you can't finish in a week and be competent. And that's the whole problem with his character, is that he's flair and flamboyance without competence. So he thinks he's great, but he's not fucking good at anything. So 5 days of
he doesn't even think he's great.
He wishes he were great at things, or he needs to
Yeah.
be seen as great when he really isn't. And it's like 5 days doing that, you're not coming in and running a high octane fine dining restaurant as the lead of the front of house. That doesn't make any fucking sense,
which is very
bro.
hard. It's
Incredibly
very hard.
Incredibly fucking hard.
And I think that's like it almost like trivializes the Jess, the character in Forks, the one who was doing the expo. It almost like trivializes the fact that like this is a woman who's been doing this for years and
Probably
had to train
10 years.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what I meant earlier when I mentioned that like he's just this functional troublemaker all the way up until the Forks episode. That's episode 7, which is
that's right after. Yes.
Yeah,
It's
and so it's
fucking
like
crazy.
And it's like, well, if it was
the
maybe
time
like
doesn't make sense.
They
Maybe
started
it was
the
like
episode off
episode
with him waking up at
5.
5, and I'm like, wait, is this a flashback or?
And then immediately like being fucking pissed off that he's cleaning forks. Like to Eddie's point, 2 of that 5 episode like stage session, 2 of those shifts he was completely like resistant,
Not in it.
Yeah.
to the process.
I do think that I have like a lot of admiration because there was a through line that I really, really admire between Ibra, between Marcus, between Tina, between Richie, because all of them are kind of touched by this magic that everyone saw in Carmi, that like his sister and Mike both saw in Carmi, like Carmi's got something. And then he comes back and everybody is like to varying degrees kind of hates Carmi. Because he's come in, fancy fucking degrees, and he's like trying to do shit differently. But bit by bit, each of them slowly kind of starts to get his magic in their own way and then take on and like change themselves and grow, despite the fact that all of them are, 40 plus. And they're like, Tina's like, okay, chef, I get it. I'm gonna do this work. And Marcus gets it, and then Ibra gets it, and then Richie is slowly just so I find that really, really beautiful. But
Tina
Richie's just
was
was
pissing
too
me off.
fast.
Yeah, Tina, I don't know. Tina
early
got
on?
low key pit. Yeah, Tina, because like when she was fucking with Sydney,
Yeah.
Oh,
season
yeah,
one.
like I was like, nah, 'cause,
sabotage
like,
and
that
shit.
couldn't have been me. Yeah, I would have been petty than like no food would have came out that goddamn day. I would have been fucking up all her shit.
And I think that's sort of like, season 1 does get from some of the critiques I've heard of season 1 is like, so season 1 really frames Carmi as sort of like an asshole for like, especially in the finale where he apologizes to Sydney and Marcus for like snapping at them. And a lot of people defend it by saying it's like, well, they were fucking up. And it's like one thing that I think a lot of especially younger dudes kind of miss when it comes to like they think being a leader is about like being in charge and like laying down the law and domination, where it's like a true leader, a true proper leader is someone who's able to kind of read the room and adjust accordingly. So in the case of Tina, while she did it, I think she was like very hostile. While I was watching it, I'm like, yeah, but you can understand why she's hostile. She's done this job for like decades, and then all of a
now
sudden,
she's got like
this
a
random
19-year-old
kid-
telling her what to fucking do. Yeah.
And even if in the context, I understand that Sydney, like, Sydney is her superior. She is an employee. She has to, adjust to her preferences. Sydney and Carmi, the fact that you didn't acknowledge that and you just kind of like ignored it and just like we're flippant with it. That's
very true.
That's
Carmi
the issue.
didn't even attempt to like smooth over the fact that like, all of y'all have gotten used to running it a certain kind of way. All of you all expected to maybe you get to have the throne after Mike dies, but instead his little brother, who's none of you know, all of a sudden is in charge telling you what to do. It's like you kind of have to take a moment and kind of socially create that social cohesion, and he didn't do that.
And it's because and it's in part because he was so used to the kitchen
military,
the Joel McHale character, where it's like, no, it's I'm going to like
don't have to earn
fucking
anything.
verbally abuse you, and you're going to deal with it, and you're going to get over it. And then he tries to bring it in, and it's like that doesn't that's not going to fly here.
No, but you can see he had a lot of
like connect the dots that was Joel McHale.
Oh yeah, right? Yeah.
Oh, really? You only just now realized that's
I'm only just now realizing that was Joel McHale.
You have no talent.
Very short scene, but like he made a fuck of an impression. It was
He
incredible.
graduated from community college.
He said he should have died.
But here's the thing. You're terrible at this. You're no good at it. Go faster, motherfucker. Keep going faster. Why are you so slow? Why are you so fucking slow? You were talentless. Say fucking hands.
Hands!
You should be dead.
I would have not out because when I was watching it, I instantly thought about like the Gordon Ramsay argument that we were having like a couple episodes back. I'm like, bro, like nah, because if that nigga would have said some shit like that to me, like I would have just. What?
Yeah.
What now, chef? What now, chef?
Yes, chef.
Hands, chef. Hands.
Hands, chef. Hands, chef.
I need hands.
And that's the thing too with Richie, because Richie is a pain in the ass in season 1 and even season 2. But I think one thing that is overlooked is here's Richie. He isn't even a part of this family. Yeah. And yet he's the one who was there and has to deal with Donna and Mikey, and he had to watch Mikey die, and he had to deal with all this shit. Meanwhile, Carmi, it's mentioned in the first episode, he didn't even come back from Mikey's funeral.
Yeah.
So there's like this resentment of Richie, like, and then of course it's also established that Mikey left the restaurant to Carmi, not Richie. Yes. So there is this weird, I think there is this resentment of he's still trying to hang on to Mikey. He's still trying to hang on to
and
his
this restaurant is the only thing he has.
Yeah, very much
true.
So.
But then all of a sudden Carmi comes in. And again, Carmi doesn't give a shit. He's just like so checked out. He's just, get out of my way. Yep. I need to do this. And it's like, dude, like communicate with us. Come on.
And I think that just talking about like people being invested without technically having being family, I think that's why Cercero's like character like really like hits home for me. Yeah, he's also he's technically not related to them. But I really loved, I think it was season 2, episode 9, where he goes through like the Alex Gonzalez, like, clubs. Like,
that was a great story.
Oh yeah.
Phenomenal story. And he's like, you're fucking like, don't be Alex Gonzalez. Like, where the guy's like asking him, like, where Carmi's asking him, like, not, do we want to be Stephen Bartman or not want to be Stephen Bartman?
You want to not fuck up. Yeah.
And Cercero's like, no, you want to not be Alex Gonzalez. Like, because we don't have a Stephen Bartman. Like, we don't have a person where like we could point to this at. Like, it's going to be on you whether or not this fails or not. I don't want this to fail. I'm clearly bankrolling you. I'm clearly trying to do the right thing by you and this family based on history, despite the fact that I'm not familiarly related to you. But like, I just really love that character, man. Like,
he's excellent. He's almost like a surrogate father of the family.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He's the father, because the dad is not around.
He's the surrogate father,
It's funny.
Something that
I was just about to say, like even like just great like points of humor.
Yeah,
like even like the Xannies, like the Xannies got like mixed in with the monster juice or some shit.
We spilled a bottle of Xanax in the cooler.
What, are they fucking dead?
No. I think they're just sleeping.
Actually, I'm kind of into it.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah. Keep up the good work. You're killing it.
I like
it. Into it.
I'm kind of into it. It's all right. Everybody's just quiet.
Because they seem to be simultaneously scared of him, but he's also like, y'all don't need to be as afraid of me as y'all are like acting like you are. Like half the time he just seems like kind of like a light character, but he seems like he breaks niggas' kneecaps sometimes. I don't know.
Right. You see, I'm waiting for them to say that he's a mob figure.
Yeah, right.
Like I'm waiting. Wait,
I thought that was already the situation. I thought he was.
No, that's the undertone.
It's only been implied.
It's implied. It's the undertone. I'm waiting for them to explicitly say like, nah, man, Uncle Jimmy is fucking.
He's got
mob.
connections.
Yeah.
Because when he first came in, was like, yo, you owe me some money. Like, Buddy owed me some money. And now you owe me this money. So
I was a little bit scared of him at first.
Money. Yeah.
He's going to be a problem.
It's funny we mentioned earlier talking about like Fresh Prince and stuff. I think he is really a good example of, if we were to sort of like point at like a positive masculine role model, he's a character who very like kind of like Uncle Phil in a way, where he's very stern. He's very direct with Carmi and the other characters. But there's this sense of like, I'm being stern with you, I'm being hard, I'm being real and like straight to the point. But there is this vibe of like, I care, I'm doing this because I love you guys, I want it to work. And then he
says, I don't want to take this restaurant. I will, but I really don't want to.
Yeah, which I think is like fair. It's like, look, I'm supporting you, but I'm also being real and direct with you.
One thing I want to cover before we kind of like close out, and I'm curious if y'all's thoughts on it, is that I feel like there was this through line of like parenthood and guidance, like throughout the whole, like every interaction in the show is kind of about like Carmi is kind of in a way parenting Richie, or like Oliver Platt's character is kind of parenting all of the kids, or everybody's kind of like enriching or educating or helping others think of things in a different kind of a way. But one relationship I thought was really interesting is Meteor Man's relationship with Sid, and what like that.
Please don't reduce world-class pioneer Robert Townsend.
Is he a pioneer?
Yes.
Yeah, oh my! One of the first black television dads.
He's literally.
I feel like He's Meteor Man for me.
Please don't reduce Robert Townsend to fucking Meteor Man. Like he's a
Meteor Man was a great movie though. Like
it was a good ass movie.
Meteor Man was good, but still,
it's a great film. That's my Batman.
But that, wow,
it's great.
Hey man, fuck you, man.
It was a good ass movie.
Man,
Robert
Townsend
what was the gang called? The Golden
Lords. The Golden Lords. And they had the fucking baby.
Villain.
They had the fucking baby lords that were fucking.
Yeah, little kids with the fucking goddamn flat top.
What movie is this?
Come on, man.
Meteor Man.
Meteor Man.
That shit
he
was
brilliant. He would absorb like books and like take on like their powers and shit. Like,
yeah, tactile omniscience or whatever the fuck that power is called. Like that shit was great. And he accidentally got like salsa dancing and was using that to fight.
It is the dad, yeah.
Yeah,
That's funny.
Fucking
great.
Reducing Robert Townsend like with his like legitimate pioneer status as like executive at like NBC Universal and all that kind of shit to like being the Meteor Man guy is fucking.
Because I'm talking about his acting abilities. That's
not even his best acting.
What's his best acting?
Five Heartbeats.
You know what? That's one of those movies I have yet to see. So that's a fair point.
I'm snatching your card right after this. Like we're gonna put you on probation status like immediately.
Yeah.
Movie stream right after this.
Put me on a learner's permit. Like, okay, fair enough. But no. So the relationship between what was the movie? So who was he in the Five Heartbeats?
He was Duck Matthews.
Okay, so between Duck and Sydney, if that's more acceptable to the podcast, is such a difficult situation to be in as a parent, because you're like, you see your child stressing over some shit that's already half destroyed them, and you kind of want to be encouraging. And you know, we always talk about parents not believing in their children's dreams or squashing their dreams or filling them with shame, and it's like, man, sometimes that's the right move, because sometimes that dream is gonna fucking kill them, you know. Or they're going to fail, and it's like, look, go back to school, do something else. And I don't know what the answer there is, but I just feel like he was one of the parental figures who I think had one of the most difficult choices in front of him, because he's trying to figure out how to make sure his child doesn't destroy themselves, and kind of constantly balancing those two in every conversation. But she can feel it too.
I mean, even as annoying as it was for Sydney, like I think he did a really good job as far as like, you know, being this fictional father figure, because he wasn't trying to push something on to Sydney that she didn't want to do. It was just like, hey, I'm just, for one, like you're living under my roof, and I'm your father. I care about you. I want to make sure that, you know, you're thinking everything through. So it's like, I'm going to have these uncomfortable conversations with you. Well, what's plan B? Like, what if this doesn't work out? But at the same time, he's not forcing her to not do what she wants to do, like to not chase her dreams.
No,
I interpreted it completely different. Like the conversation that he had with her at the end was not, I'm having an uncomfortable conversation with you. It was a conversation of comfort. He said, he literally said, if you need to live with me forever, you can live with me forever.
No,
he said,
but that's an uncomfortable conversation for someone like Sydney.
Fair enough. But what he said was, they went through the whole progression of the logic, and I think they got to a very logical situation on why does this have to be everything. He said if I'm willing to let you stay here forever, if you can put yourself per Sydney's conversation, if you can put yourself into everything that you do like it's the last thing ever, then why does this one thing have to feel for you like it's the end of the world if it doesn't succeed.
Mm-hmm.
If you're
I
putting
think she
your
answers though.
I think
She
she said because I don't think I have
another
enough
one.
left.
Yeah.
I don't have enough, which I think was poignant. I think Sydney was very good at
Terry
expressing
talked about
herself.
that.
Yeah, I think Sydney
Yeah.
was very good at expressing herself and where she was in that situation. But like, if I'm a person, and I have been this person, like I've told the story on here all the time about how like, you know, I didn't know what the fuck I was gonna do, and I was trying to pay.
He was gonna be a postman, right?
That was high school, but I'm even talking about like
Okay.
in my fucking MBA studies, where like I was gonna like be a cashier at Aldi. You know what I mean? With the fucking top
They
30
pay well.
MBA.
Yo,
you know what I mean? Like
dead ass,
and
Alvin. I can see you delivering mail. Like I don't.
My man.
I can see you in the
Oh,
truck, like
definitely.
with the
If I
outfit.
had-
like, bro,
definitely.
No, like, dead
He
ass.
looked like a mailman.
Yeah.
Dead ass.
He got the
If I
mailman
had fucking
like
got-
big and everything.
If I had fucking got the job with the U.S. Postal Service, I probably would have never went to college. So
Man,
so
thank
like
God you didn't.
they didn't fucking hire me. But so I get what they're saying. But I'm just saying, like, if I'm putting myself in Sydney's
believed in
shoes, and like my father told me
On
that
some
shit,
Goodwill
or,
Hunting
like,
shit, they were like, "You got great things ahead."
yeah, if like a parent told me that shit, like I would be calm. You know what I mean? I
I think it
wouldn't
depends on
feel.
the child. It depends on the child.
I felt
'Cause
like it was
I
a-
think for her,
I feel like it was a very good. I feel like it was a good.
I think it was the right
dialogue.
decision.
It was a good
I think it was the right
dialogue,
decision.
but I get what
for
you're saying.
Sydney, like from her perspective, you got to think what she's saying is, you don't believe in me, Dad. You don't think that I'm cut out to do this shit. You don't think
Yeah.
that I can really make it across this.
Yeah.
Like I'm Evil Knievel, and you're like, you sure you don't want to check the brakes? It's like, so you don't think I can make it across this canyon?
Yeah.
And it's like that hurts to hear from your parent, I would assume.
Well, I
so
think-
it's like
I
I
think-
get that's not easy shit.
Or I think, Josh, you mentioned it well. It's like that because like you've heard that 100 times from like a parent. It's like, hey, if you want to pursue it, that's fine, but you know, maybe like consider a plan B just in case.
Yeah.
Now, and that's like very good advice for anyone. That is like perfect.
Yes.
But
Safe.
to your point, Eddie, when a parent is telling that to a kid, especially if they're like very, very passionate about something, what it sounds like is, oh, so you're saying that I'm going to fail and like I need to back up, and
I
it's
think
hard
sometimes
to.
it is that actually.
It definitely is. It can be for some parents.
Like I think a lot of times parents, because when you're young, you don't need a plan B a lot of times. Like if you've got a parent who says you can stay here, you can literally completely fuck up and fail until your late 20s and then start over.
But I thought that's what he was saying.
I
my perspective,
agree. I
thought
agree.
that's what he was
I
saying.
agree. I agree.
He was
But
like, I thought he was saying fuck up. And she was saying, I
agree.
don't have enough in me to fuck up. She was saying that, like, from my perspective, it's so difficult to fuck up again after I've already fucked up that, like, I don't know if I have it in me from a emotional, mental,
this has to be
spiritual
it.
perspective. This has to be it. So, and
Which
I
is why I
understand
think
her
it's really
perspective.
difficult as a parent to like,
Yeah.
because I think as a parent, you're kind of going, well, she's gonna fucking do it, and she doesn't think that she has enough left in the tank. So me telling her, hey, you can fail, is going to be really, because what he could have done is just been like, he doesn't need to tell her that she can stay here. If she succeeds, then she succeeds. If she fails, then he's there. But putting in
Yes.
her head that, hey,
Yes.
I'm here if you fail. Low key, now that I think about it, and maybe that's what I was getting, because maybe I was struggling to kind of fully know what I was even talking about. I think it's
Yeah.
that. I
I'm
think
with
actually
you.
the best
I'm
thing he
with you.
did, should have done, would have been to just be there instead of saying that he's there.
Actually, I actually disagree
disagree?
with that because
Okay.
because like sometimes you actually need that extra push because like he didn't. I still stand on what he said. Like he didn't say anything wrong, and a lot of times it's like yes, you're passionate about this thing, and when somebody outside of you like expresses like a little bit of doubt, like well, if this doesn't work out, you don't want to hear that shit. So you take that, even if you might take it like kind of negative, kind of wrong. Like you might take that like as extra motivation to push even further and push even harder to
Yes.
make sure this shit does
Yo.
not fail.
It can either
But
like
that in
be
real
better
life,
or
that goes the
backfire.
other direction all
It
the
could.
fucking time.
It
People,
could.
it's so many doctors out here who are like, yeah, no, my parent really said I shouldn't have been a sculptor and I should have a backup plan. And the backup plan ended up becoming the plan because it took up so much energy. And I'm not saying that that's not the right, like a lot of those sculptors would have failed anyway. So fair to your point, but it's not as simple as what you're saying. I think a lot of people take that and it demotivates them because sometimes you have to put everything into this plan A, and making the plan B undercuts your you don't have enough energy for plan A. So
I mean,
plan
I
B becomes
think
your life.
in that case, I think you probably, I don't know. I think,
yeah,
fuck it, I'm gonna say it. Like, I think you might have failed anyway if that was all it took to demotivate you off the path that you was meant to be in a certain context.
People say
in a
that,
sense.
but I think
Because
in real
like, bro,
life,
like,
people.
because if once again, like, because if
Fucking
once again,
J.K.
like someone like
Simmons over
Sydney,
here.
Yeah,
Right, it's
right.
J.K. Simmons shit. It's like in
I
real
mean, 'cause
life, people.
All
yeah.
this
I'm
physical
thinking about a
abuse.
very specific type of person for this example, right? Because I understand there's a lot of nuance, a lot, of one drop in the fucking pool can create a ripple effect, and a butterfly might die somewhere else.
Yeah.
Who the fuck knows how things could work out?
Take it in the other direction, yeah.
Right.
Well, I think, Eddie, I
But,
think
a hurricane if you kill the butterfly.
but basically, what I'm saying is just that for a person like Sydney, right? She was extremely passionate about what she wanted to do. Like there was nothing going to get in her way. That conversation with her father was, for someone like her, was only going to give her more fuel to actually like, no, fuck that. I'm going to prove you wrong just to say that, no, look, it did work. My plan
But
A
that's
did
not
work.
why
I
he
did
was
not need a
doing it.
plan B.
You're right, but that's not why he was doing it. He was doing it for the opposite. He was like, yo, you need to chill the fuck out. You're giving yourself ulcers. And she was like, oh, well, I'm giving myself 2 ulcers now. So you're right, but I don't think that was where he was coming from.
I think the show is almost sort of like exploring these ideas of not just like parenthood, but I also think it highlights the complications that both Carmi and Sydney have as like leaders of the restaurant, where it's like being a leader is difficult because it's like you simultaneously want to be empathetic to, those around you. And it's like, hey, and like understand their point of view. But at the end of the day, you also need to command respect as there's sort of like this balance of like, I hear you, I understand you, I take what you say to heart. But at the end of the day, we still have
Final
this
say.
dynamic. And trying to balance that kind of like with the parent of like, how can I be supportive and like motivate my kid while also trying to almost like keep their feet on the ground? Or like, how can I,
keep them from
there's
fucking
like
up their whole life.
keep their feet on the ground, but not like destroy their spirit, but don't let them like fly away.
That's such a good phrase. That's exactly the challenge that I'm like is really difficult, because a parent is not exactly like, because a leader can kind of be like, look, I can be gentle most of the time, but at the end of the day, when it comes down to the line, I need you to do what the fuck I say. And so occasionally you have to, though I think that's the minority, I think mostly you should be inspiring motivation, but occasionally you have to do, look, this is what we're doing, this is what we got to get done. But with a parent, you're trying to foster independence.
That's a good point.
So the dynamic is meant to grow beyond that, and it's meant to be like, I at this point I actually can't tell you what to do, but I have to kind of be, and that's how do I keep your feet on the ground without crushing your spirit is very well said.
I think it's even more poignant the fact that we find out that Sydney's mother passed away when she was very young. So like, because sometimes when you have two parents, they can kind of play the the good cop bad cop sort of thing. So kids can kind of get that like yin and yang. But if it's just one parent, he's like, I want to be supportive, but also, you got to be careful. But like, I hope it doesn't discourage you. But like,
gave yourself fucking trauma over this last situation, so this could happen again. Like, just given the fact that it already happened the one time, maybe you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. It's tough being a parent. Well, look, let me tell you right now. If you see the writers of your show giving you like actions and lines that really make no sense, despite the fact that you're a fucking on-call doctor who's dating like a bit of a dropkick chef, you might be seeing a red flag. But at the same time, if you reduce Robert Townsend down to his very exceptional role in Meteor Man, you might be the one that's waving the red flag. It's been Waving the Red Flag podcast. It's been Eddie. It's been Josh. It's been Alvin. Joined today by Macabre Storytelling. You know what I'm saying? This has been The Bear, Season 2.
The Bear, baby. Let's go.
Episode 185. Check it out. 7 fishes. Join us on Patreon if you want the full podcast experience. That means being a part of our Discord community. That means getting the full bonus episodes, being part of the live streams. You get to get the full experience. Like, subscribe, become a member. As I said, turn the notification bell on so you know when we drop the new episodes. We'll see y'all next week. Mac, do you got anything to drop or let the people know about?
Oh, yeah, sure. You can find me on YouTube, Macabre Storytelling, Macabre. That's how it's technically pronounced. I don't know. I think it's macabre. But
it's macabre, technically.
Macabre. Macabre.
Whatever you say is what it is, Mac.
Macabre.
I've seen FD mispronounce your name in a recent video.
You fucking own your brand, man.
You don't pronounce nobody's name right.
We will support your brand.
But yes, on YouTube, you can find me under any of those pronunciations.
Yeah, okay, that should get perfect.
Well, if you're typing it in, it's all the same. So
it's fine. Yeah, it's spelled. You don't need to say it to find it on YouTube. Just type it.
Pretty much.
We'll put the link, guys. No, you don't even have to type it. Just click it'll be in the description.
Thank you.
That's it. Peace.
Well, yo, what is a drop kick chef though?
Just like a bit of I don't know, just a bit of a fuck up, I guess. Yeah.
I immediately thought of like Dropkick Murphys, and I was like,
that's 100% what I'm talking about.
What is Dropkick Murphys?
It's like a shipping out the box. Whoa, that's fine.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There you go.
They're like Irish sounding, rock. All rock.